Hey everyone, Seth Weiner here, your auctioneer, and you're tuned in, excuse me, you're tuned into Coffee Connections, Insights with Innovators, and welcome back to the show. Actually, I got to tell you, if there's any background noise, I'm sorry I don't have my jacket, sorry I don't have my microphone. I am at the Atlanta History Center, where I am doing two walkthroughs with different events. One of them happens to be one of our guests today on the show, so it's very interesting that it all worked out this way. But yeah, let me go ahead and get things queued up here. But I do apologize for any background noises that we have today. But I'm excited to have our guest here. And let me tell you about Brooke Kamke. I said Kamke. I said I knew I was messing up. Brooke Kamke. So now she is with ReadSource, but let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a change agent expert in the nonprofit operations with over 20 years of experience in the healthcare and education industries. Her experience is complex because she's done these multi-year and multi-million-dollar projects, as well as facilitating system-wide change initiatives in hospital and all other settings. So not only does she do all this, but she's a mother of two amazing children, one of whom is dyslexic. So she's really driven to improve the education system so that all learners are supported. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show. Let me go ahead and do this and say hi, Brooke.
Good afternoon. Hi there.
Hello, hello. Well, welcome to Coffee Connections. Before we jump into anything about ReadSource or your experience, which is very, very vast, I got to ask you, do you drink coffee?
I do, yes.
You do? Wonderful. Now, do you have a mug that you drink coffee in that you want to share with us?
I do. I've got a nice spring mug with me today. I've moved on to water today, but I love a good cappuccino in the morning.
Yeah. Now, do you make your own cappuccino or do you prefer to get it out?
I do, actually. That was a bit of a pandemic project. I finally learned how to use my little espresso machine. So I'll make my own cappuccino most mornings.
Yeah. And do you do the frother as well on your own, or do you go the extra mile?
Oh, yeah. I am terrible at any sort of latte art. I've watched videos and tested. I can't make a heart. If I do, it's an accident.
Yeah. So one would say you watch the latte videos?
I sure did. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. You always here for the pun. All right. Well, coffee aside, I'm going to go ahead and hand the mic over to you. And please tell everyone about your experience and in particular, what is ReadSource?
Yeah, I'd love to. So ReadSource is a nonprofit that was launched by the Schenck School, which is where I'm sitting currently. The Schenck School is a school that is the oldest elementary in the nation, designated specifically for dyslexic students, which, as you mentioned in my intro, is how I came to be part of this work. My son attended, attended school here for 5th and 6th grade. And as many parents will tell you who've had children here, it was really life-changing for him. So that's how I came to be a part of the work. Schenck realized that they truly have a gift here and quite a lot of expertise and knowledge to share, and that we could do so beyond the walls of the school here. ReadSource does this through two main parts of our business. One is through our teacher training program. So we do a lot of work in offering classes, workshops, lots of different professional development opportunities for teachers to better serve their students. We also have a pretty unique partnership that I'm sure I'll get a chance to share more about, in which we provide direct services to students in some schools here in Atlanta as well.
Oops, I was on mute there. Apologize. So to work kind of backwards, direct services, like what are examples of some of the direct services provide students?
Sure. So we have an amazing partnership with Purpose-Built Schools Atlanta, and they operate some Atlanta public schools in the southern part of Atlanta who have been historically underserved schools. So Slater Elementary School, Price Middle School are two of the schools where we actually send a team of reading remediation specialists. We have a team of 10 currently. And we work in small groups with 3 students at a time And they work with those students 4 days a week doing reading coaching and training, the same sort of instruction that we do here in the building at the Schenck School. And it's made a tremendous impact on the reading performance for those students
Now,
across.
is this specifically for dyslexic students at these schools, or is this in general just reading?
It's actually for struggling readers. So some of the students we work with may be dyslexic. None of them have a diagnosis. Some are struggling for a variety of different reasons. What's really special about the program is that the approach that we use here with dyslexic students at the Schenck School benefits all learners, especially those who are struggling to read. And so we've seen that the approach here has really helped to make an impact with those students and help them catch up, because many of them are a grade level or more behind in their reading abilities.
And how did you choose the schools, or did the schools choose you?
Oh, a little bit of both. So Greg Giornelli is the executive director of Purpose Built Schools Atlanta. He also, like me, had a son at the Schenck School, so he knew what Schenck could do for a student who is really struggling with reading. I have a colleague, Dr. Kim Day, who oversees the program for ReadSource, and she had some previous connections with purpose-built schools as well. So the partnership really developed from those relationships, and we're now in our 5th year.
And how do you see this growing? I mean, is there other organizations you're going to tie into to be able to spread this, or what's the? It seems like the program works, and I'm sure there's similar programs out there, or they're not.
I don't know of any others that are out there in which there's an organization sending staff into a school like Purpose Built. So we've actually grown our efforts and expanded within the Purpose Built schools year over year. So that's one way that we've been able to expand. We started in the elementary schools. We've also are now working in middle and have even done some work with their high school. We are interested to see if we can find other partners in the Atlanta area or in this region where we could do a similar partnership. Schools that are running their academic programs but need that little bit of extra support for their struggling readers. We have amazing reading remediation specialists who have a pretty tremendous amount of training to do what they do. So it would be lovely to see where else we could plug them in.
Now, you mentioned the training. How did the teachers find you, or again, do you find the teachers?
That's actually a big part of the work. There are not a ton of educators out there in the market who have this level of training. That's part of why the other piece of our business, which is actually providing teacher training, is in such high demand. So in some cases, some of our early remediation specialists, some of the first to join the team were former teachers here at the Schenck School. Some were tutors in the area who had attended training with us. And some we found through really careful recruiting, and we then provided our own teacher training to help them develop and learn some of the tools and methodologies that we use. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And then also, just the public school versus private school, and I know that the public schools. It's a lot different to be a teacher today than it was for when we were kids. I know every generation says stuff like this, but there's so much more that they're dealing with. As a teacher, and so to be able to spend the time to actually work with students to help them improve their reading is a challenge of its own.
Absolutely. And the schools that we work with in particular, the benefit of partnering with Purpose Built is that they're able to operate their schools as a charter system. So they're able to help remove some barriers for us that maybe a traditional public school wouldn't be able to. And we rely heavily on that. They also welcome us as partners. And so we're really folded in with their faculty community. But the reality is there is quite a challenge in working with this particular population of students have been almost generationally overlooked and underserved. So we work with kids who've experienced a a lot of trauma, poverty, all sorts of things that we do our best to prepare our reading remediation specialists. They do an amazing job. But it really comes down to that partnership with Purpose Built, and then the relationships that our specialists are able to build with their students. We really have quite an amazing team.
Yeah, it sounds it. And the students are learning to read instead of just read scantrons. So that's a big piece.
That's right.
And what about the books and the supply? Are there special books that you're using? Are you tied in with, like, say, like Dolly Parton and her reading program, or talk a little bit about that?
Oh, we'll have to give Dolly a call. We've not joined in her reading program, but we have a variety of different materials that we use. We draw from what we know works for students here in the building at the Schenck School. The Schenck School has been doing this work for over 60 years now. And so we have quite a bit of resources that we can draw from here. We also, again, part of that partnership with Purpose Built is they really welcome us into their planning. So when they have topics or subjects that they are covering in other areas of the school, our remediation specialists work hard to tie in with that, so that what they may be learning to decode words when they're working with us, but we may tie it in to the same subject matter that they're learning about in their social studies class. So that helps it to be a bit more holistic for the students, I think.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's, you got to bring it all together, because that's how the learning is best done. You know, you mentioned the Schenck School a couple times, and it's as many, well, maybe not everyone's familiar with the Schenck School, but to help people get familiar, it is a school for dyslexic students. But one of the unique things about the Schenck School, it's not your student that's dyslexic goes there and they're there for the duration of school, right? Can you talk a little bit about the uniqueness of the program?
Sure. Yeah, you're right. It's not the kind of school where a student would be here for multiple years. They actually focus very much on remediating a student, giving them the tools that they need to then return to their regular school, whether it was an independent school or their public school, but for them to go back to a typical environment with those skills that they gain here. So the majority of students at the Schenck School are here for 2 to 3 years. And so it's a pretty quick turnaround, and it's very intensive. So they focus very much on getting the absolute most out of the couple of years that students will be here. It also helps us, it's another way that it helps us to be able to serve as many students as we can. And then, of course, ReadSource helps us to reach even beyond that. It's a bit of a different model with ReadSource. We're working with students to help bring them up to their grade level, to help bring them, really to help catch them up. These are students who've fallen behind. And so there are many students who we've worked with for multiple years, some that we may have less time with. They may not be in the school system as long as we would love to work with them. But we do our best to track those students until they're really ready also to move back into their classroom setting.
Well, yeah. And then the students that are going back in there, they're also helping educate some of the teachers as to how, to not only work with students that have these differences or disabilities and whatnot, but to how to recognize that too. And so, because that's a big thing, is being able to recognize that a student may have, it's like dyslexic. It's not that the student's not trying, but often teachers will say that the student's not trying.
Right. So it's interesting. So some of our work within the Schenck School is to really help recognize the dyslexic student as a person of value. These students are smart. They are trying very hard. They have one particular thing that is a challenge for them, and this school, we happen to know how to help them with that. With the students that we work with through ReadSource, they may not be struggling with dyslexia, but they're struggling to read for any number of reasons. Our team is really built to help make them feel seen, to help fill that gap. In a lot of cases, they've just missed some instruction. Maybe they have struggled with some of those building blocks, and we can help build that back in for them. That helps to build confidence. It's amazing to see some of the students at the beginning of the year when maybe they're not sure why they're getting pulled out of class. They don't know if they really need this. Who is this teacher who, is who I'm getting pulled out with. By the middle and towards the end of the year, they're really excited that they get to get pulled out. At one of our schools, their students will show up even if their particular remediation specialist is out sick, they still show up. So we count that as a win when they feel that confidence and they can see that they can do it, that they can succeed.
No, that's wonderful. And how do you compensate for the at-home disadvantages? So some of these students maybe aren't getting like to read, it takes practice. And if you're only doing it at school and not doing it at home, you're going to be slower. So I'm curious what you all do to help help with that.
I think the best thing that we can do is just be a good partner to Purpose Built Schools Atlanta. So we're one of many partners in their efforts, and our work is really focused on helping the children learn to read. Purpose Built does do an amazing job of making sure that they serve other needs within the community that might be impacting the things that we see in the classroom. One small way that we tried to do that with the onset of the pandemic, the purpose-built schools were one of those that we're very concerned with. If schools are closed, how are they going to make sure that students had some of those daily needs met where, they are going to school, they know that they're going to get breakfast and lunch and be sent home with dinner in many cases. And so ReadSource as a partner, we just do our best to support what Purpose Built is building in for that community, and they do a beautiful job. So we can focus on reading and just be as understanding as we can be.
Now, it takes a lot to be able to do this, and that is also in the terms of not just having the humans, the teachers to do this, but it takes the money to be able to afford to do all this. Can you talk a little bit where you get your funding? And I'm going to direct people to readsource.com where they can, of course, make a donation to help support your cause.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. So I mentioned a little bit about the uniqueness of our partnership with Purpose Built. It is a true partnership. So we do joint fundraising. So Purpose Built identifies half of the funds each year, and we do fundraising for the other half of the funds each year. That really does make us a true partner. And we bring something to the table. We have skin in the game, however you want to say that. But it also means we're not just a vendor. We're going to be there raising funds alongside Purpose Built. So it does require fundraising. We tend to do so every year around this time. Our auction is going to support a huge portion of the funds needed to serve students this year and into the next school year. Of course, you can see, so that's coming up this Friday. We'll have quite a wonderful community from the Schenck School who will come together and raise money not only for the school and all the amazing things that they're doing, but the paddle raiser this year will be designated for ReadSource and specifically for the students who we are serving through this partnership.
So I'll be looking at everyone there to raise their paddle really high. I'm excited to be working with you all this year. So that's great. And I'm glad to have this moment to learn more about ReadSource and all the wonderful work you all are doing. Before we close things out here, is there anything that we didn't bring up that maybe you wanted to circle back and mention?
So as we're coming into summer, the other part of our work, our teacher training, is just getting ready to kick into high gear. So we'll have a huge lineup of courses coming this summer for teachers, educators, Anyone interested in learning more who may be interested to become a tutor, we'll have quite a few of offerings with our amazing instructors. We continue to have just a tremendous amount of demand for our trainings through the Orton Gillingham Academy. We also are doing some really exciting work on our new digital courses. So we launched our first course, Reaching All Readers, 2 years ago, which is an asynchronous, self-paced, fully online course. And we're working on some fun updates to that as we speak. So again, we hope to be able to not only serve those the amazing students we have here in the building, the students that ReadSource serves through purpose-built schools, but also if we can reach teachers and help spread this training so that more teachers have the ability to support struggling readers and use some of these tools and approaches that we use here at the school, then that gives us a chance to even increase our impact beyond the hundreds of kids we're serving already. So it's exciting stuff, and it's going to be getting busy here very soon.
That's wonderful. And if you want more information, please do visit readsource.com. You make a donation, like I said, but also check out the website. It's like every website, it's going to have a lot of information for you and links to all the different programs here. So readsource.com. Brooke, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to seeing you Friday and raising millions of dollars here at the History Center for you all on Friday night. Folks, if you're interested, a innovator in the nonprofit world that you'd like to recommend to be a few guests here on Coffee Connections.
Thanks so much.
We're back? We're back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Looks like
Okay.
we waited all the way to the end to have a technical glitch. Sorry about that.
No, I don't, listen, could be me, could be you, it could be the universe. But before I let you go, is there an innovator in the Atlanta nonprofit world that you'd like to recommend to be a future guest on Coffee Connections?
Yeah, I know I talked so much about purpose-built schools as we talked about ReadSource. I think they're doing amazing things, and I would love for Atlanta to hear more about the work that Purpose-Built Schools Atlanta is doing in our community.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to having them on the show. We'll definitely connect. Thank you so much. I'll see you Friday, and everyone, we'll be back in a couple weeks with our next guest. Until then, this is Seth Weiner, your auctioneer, wishing you a great day. Happy Mardi Gras, and spring is on the way. All right. Bye, everyone.